Hey everybody, welcome to Game Boys on the Wii. I'm DigiBro and with me is Hippocrit.
Yeah, Game Boys.
Game Boys! So we're doing this podcast. It's gonna be like a seasonal podcast, I think. It's like gonna be released in seasons. Each season has like a different topic, and the topic for this season is game consoles.
Yes.
Each episode we'll be talking about another console. So it's gonna be a very broad lens approach.
Yeah.
Probably not too much talking about like just individual games and concepts. We'll save that for later seasons.
Yeah.
But we're starting big.
It's really just because we wanted to do a podcast together and we didn't know exactly what to talk about, so we're just going with the vague stuff to start off.
Yeah, and it just so happened that PCP did a podcast about the Game Boy that neither of us got to be on, and so I think that both of us feeling like an intense jealousy for them caused this to happen. Right down to the title of the podcast being Game Boys. But this time we're talking about the Wii. I thought it would make a good starting place because it's kind of a huge console. It's the fifth best-selling console of all time.
Yeah, it's
shitloads
huge.
of games on it.
I feel like most people know that the Wii existed, and the PlayStation is just like a name they've heard.
Well, the Wii is kind of famous for the fact that it had a big normie appeal.
Yeah.
Like, it was the first game console that was, like, sold to your mom, and she bought it, like, for herself to play, as opposed to being seen as, like, mostly a kid's thing or a hardcore gamer's thing. Simply because of the motion controls and the fact that the games they were putting out, like, the games that they were really pushing for the console was stuff like Wii Fit and Wii Sports, which were, like, very gimmicky sort of living room party games, or even games that you're meant to play, like, every day, like, in a routine. Like, Wii Fit is meant to be, like a literal fitness routine that you do.
I had a friend, I knew a guy who was, like, 78, an old Scottish guy, and he used Wii Fit every day. And it was so weird to hear him talking about the Wii.
My mom tried to get into Wii Fit, but she's not good at keeping a routine, I guess. But the funny thing about that, and it kind of makes me sad that when this game console came out and they were pushing the Wii Fit, again, the immediate response from gamers was like, oh, it's for normies. Because gamers just so couldn't see themselves playing a fitness game. It's like they bought into their own stereotype. Like, this idea that gamers are all like, oh, they don't do physical activity, they don't want to play sports and shit like that. It's like, I feel like Nintendo's intention was to try to get gamers to get fit. Like, I don't think they were just aiming it at your mom. I think they wanted gamers to
I really liked Wii Fit. Like, I used it for quite a while. I didn't really identify as a gamer as such. It was just like, I always thought, oh, I should do exercise. And here it was, like a really nice little layout and some funny little things. You could jog on this really nice island. The fucking Wii Fit island for jogging is, like, a beautiful.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about it. I never got into Wii Fit myself, but or Wii Sports, but, like, everyone I know who actually did has said it's, like, a great game. Like, it's not just something for mom. It is actually a really fun game, a fun experience. That, like, even a gamer would appreciate. It's got the Nintendo polish, It's a fucking Nintendo game. It's not just a piece of shit.
Yeah. It's kind of like that weird, like, on the DS, the brain tester thing. Brain age thing, weird thing that it was just like, I don't get it, but it's got that, it's got the polish, it's got the game feel somehow. I like this.
Yeah. I feel like it was smart of Nintendo to stop trying to, like, market to hardcore gamers, not just in the fact that they're going to bring new people into gaming, but also, like, it's called innovation. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people, this is kind of one of the problems I think both of us have with AAA games, that they all look the same because at this point, like, they have to look that way to tell people this is a AAA game, Like, people will only get hype about a game that's got photorealistic graphics and is, like, marketed as some kind of very modern thing because that's just what they think of when they think of a big video game. Yeah. And meanwhile, Nintendo's over here like, hey, we're just going to make something completely different that doesn't look like a stereotypical video game. It was really this
generation of consoles that made that, like, the thing, because PlayStation 3, Xbox, they were all about we can make human beings with like noses and eyes and shit, and that's all they were doing. And then over here, Nintendo was making the Miis, which then Xbox copied. I think, I don't know whether they did at the same time, but like the Miis were like, they didn't look like anything, but they were so iconic. I still love those stupid things, the stupid little guys.
I feel like Nintendo took a really odd path from the 90s up through the Wii, because Nintendo used to be synonymous with video games, especially console games. Like, if you were playing a console game, you probably had a Nintendo, maybe you had a Sega, you know? But, like, then when the PS1 came out, like, because Nintendo just wasn't, like, I think it was because they didn't have the right technology for developers with the N64 and the GameCube. Because, like, there's no reason those consoles couldn't have had all the same PS games as the PS1, like, stylistically. But because they didn't provide, like, the easy disc service that the other ones did, like, the way to put a shitload of data onto a disc, they kind of fell behind. They fell by the wayside. And then their method of dealing with that was, okay, well, instead of trying to make the next cutting-edge system, let's just go in a totally different direction and sell ourselves based on something else. And then, you know, the generation that comes up on the Wii, we can then, you know, they'll be ours. They won't need the other ones, you know. But then, I don't know, it's like since then they've taken like a weird half measure with the Wii U, where it's like we're appealing to gamers again, but not enough. Well, I don't know what happened.
I feel like they're just like one step behind. Like they got the PS3 sort of level of graphics in the Wii U, you know, a bit too late. But I think like the race for like HD graphics and stuff, it's too appealing because hardware, you know, gets more powerful and gets smaller and cheaper. So why not? Right. Like, you know, they're going to be they're going to be putting like loads of textures on Mario's hair for the Switch when that comes out. But it's still going to be mostly just like not too graphically intensive is the way they usually do it.
I feel like where they fucked up with the Wii U and the Switch, where they did everything right with the Wii, because with the Wii, again, Wii Fit and Wii Sports were like huge launch titles that they pushed really heavily. And with the Switch and the Wii U, there was nothing quite like that, you know? Like, where was the game that proves the necessity of these consoles? Like, they had Nintendo Land for the Wii U, which is fine, but that was not nearly as much as, like, a huge innovation as Wii Fit was, where you've got this totally different peripheral, this weird scale thing, and, like, they came up with all this unique shit, and it kind of made you think, well, there's a reason for the Wii to exist, because you can make this totally new kind of game. And I think with the Wii U and the Switch, that has yet to quite be proven. Like, 1-2 punch, or ARMS, that's what it's called. ARMS and 1-2 whatever, Switch, 1-2 Switch, is that what it's called? I don't fucking remember. Just don't have that same, like, level of, oh my god, I can't believe you can use a game console to be your life coach.
It always fucking feels weird when I see people, like, I saw people talking about the Switch and then buying the games that were out at the time, and it was just the little move the controller, imagine the balls in your hand, but they're not really in your hand. Like, I can't imagine anybody ever playing that for any time at all. No. I don't know why anybody talked about it. There's nothing else to talk about. Because
the Switch has no fucking games. Like, I'm in that place right now where I can afford whatever game consoles I want, and I literally go to the store, and I want both a Wii U and a Switch. I don't have either one in my house right now, and every time I look at the library of games, I just can't justify the cost of the console for how many games are on it. Like, I sit there and go, like, why? And meanwhile, the Wii had a really impressive library of games. The only thing about it was that it's one of those consoles where sort of sorting what's supposed to be good and bad is difficult because of the fact that different people feel very differently about the Wii games, including myself. Now, I don't know what your relationship with the Wii is, but I have a very tenuous relationship with the Wii, in spite of the high praise I've been giving it for 10 minutes.
Well, should we talk about the games we played on it, I guess?
Yeah, and like well, more so than the games, I want to know what you generally think of, like, the Wii as, like, the controls and everything. Because every game has totally different controls.
I I generally don't have a problem with the controls as long as there's like... I mean, it depends on the thing. If it's usually like pointing the pointer at the screen to do anything, I would rather not. I like turning it on its side and using the directional buttons to use the menus and stuff, which usually works. Any game where the motion control is the main thing, as long as it's the only thing, like Wii Sports is actually quite fun to play tennis and golf. I used to play golf with my dad with that thing. He enjoyed that, even though it was kind of weird to use. And, you know, things that are very definitely built for the motion controls are great. But then things like Twilight Princess, I mean... That's not too bad, actually. I'm trying to think of like a
Skyward
game.
Sword is the one.
Skyward Sword, yeah. Everyone, I haven't played that, but everyone says that sucks.
I mean, and that's the thing. There's some people who really love that game because they just don't think the controls are that bad. To me, if I experience 1 second of frustration over the controls ever, it's out the window, you know? Because like with the motion controls, I feel like they worked about half the time. And half the time's not enough of the time, you know? Like, I was getting real pissed off. I can't remember playing, like, a motion controls centric game and enjoying it much. I fucking hate navigating the Wii menus. Because I went to go buy something on the Wii store recently, because for some reason I've been playing the Wii more recently. I went into, like, the store, and... the experience of having to type in my credit card information using a Wii pointer because there's no other option.
No, I swear you can just turn it on its side or use the directional buttons.
Will it just work?
I think what you're supposed to do is like you move the cursor off the screen for long enough and then it realizes, oh, you're trying to use the directional buttons and then it'll let you. Like when I heard you talk about that, I was like, that can't be right.
That was so infuriating, just because it felt like you know, a game console. I like that game consoles kind of feel like a toy. Like, I want it to be kind of like a toy. But when you go into the shop, it's like, this is real money now.
Yeah.
You're like, this is my real world adult money. And I even feel insulted on, like, the PS4 store because they don't post, like, any scores for games or, like, reviews or any, like, all the stuff you would get on Steam, which I feel like is the mature thing to do. You know, when I'm shopping on the PS4, I feel like it's trying to pull the veil over my eyes. I feel like it's trying to trick me. But on the Wii, I feel like I'm doing something that you can only do if you're 18 or older, paying for something with a credit card, using a toy for infants. And I feel really stupid.
It does look very cutesy. The DS as well, the store and that, the way everything is just, it just feels wrong that I'm spending money.
The Nintendo points are evil.
Oh, fuck those.
The points are evil. On the Wii, it's like, yeah, you could spend $10 and get 10 or 100 points, but then every game is like an odd numbered increment of like, you can't, you're always going to have points you didn't use, and it's like, what the this is fucking scheme logic. Like, why would you do this?
Yeah, that
makes me feel dirty buying stuff.
It's definitely worse than the way like anything else does it. Like the PlayStation 4, it, you know, it's just money. You just put in your card and you pay for it, and that's it. They may not have reviews, but it's all right. The idea of points for it always gives you that false sense of hope. Like, maybe if I buy some more things, or if I get like Club Nintendo points, or like those little sleeves in the box of some things, you add them up, and it never amounts to anything. And it's just infuriating that it exists, and I wish it didn't.
I can't stand when anyone makes buying something officially feel skeezy. Like, you motherfuckers are lucky I'm not just downloading this game. Like, you know, half of the Wii Virtual Console is like NES, Super Nintendo, N64, Game Boy Advance games that I could emulate in 2 seconds on the internet. And the only reason I want to buy it in the store is so I can, like, play it on a console on my TV without having to, like, hook up a computer to my TV. And, like, you're making me feel like you are grosser than the actual illegal download site, you know? So, yeah, the Wii Store, definitely one of the worst things about the Wii, I would say.
Yeah. Well,
at least it had one, I guess.
Let's talk about the games now. I just want to say, Smash Bros. Brawl, the best one. It's my
Smash
favorite
Bros.
one.
Brawl was great. I like I don't think I played as much Brawl as I've played of Melee or Smash 4, but like it was
it's really just the single player campaign, cuz
I was going to say, are you into Subspace Emissary, cuz
it's my favorite.
That's a whole other world. Yeah, that's something. It's kind of a shame. I feel like the only reason that doesn't get talked about more is because like so many people who were into Melee were into it as just a multiplayer game, just a like, you know, an almost competitive fighting game. And so when Brawl came out, everybody bitched and moaned about like the combat mechanics being not as good, but there is like way more content in that game, and that's probably the most exciting thing about it. I would say it doesn't have the replay value like when you come back later. Like if you want to play Smash with your friends and you're looking at all 4 games, you're probably going to pick either Melee or 4.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
but
it's true that it's not like the best fighting game, but that the single player is just so fun to just even think about the fact that it existed and all the cutscenes that happened. Like it's like the biggest crossover boner ever. I love crossovers.
I think everybody needs to take a step back and remember how exciting it was when it came out and you played Subspace. Like I remember Victor fucking flipping out over Subspace Emissary, like thinking it was the coolest shit that had ever happened. So yeah, everybody just remember how cool that game was, at least for a time. You know, even if it's not as returnable to now. So that was your favorite Wii game outright?
Let me think. I'm trying to think. That there was like Mario Galaxy was a pretty good one, but I never beat it. Twilight Princess was good, but I also never beat that. I didn't really play that many Wii games. There's only got like a handful. I'm just gonna grab a few.
I was never gigantically into the Wii when it was actually a new console, because again, I really hated the motion controls, and it just felt, again, so hard to like determine what games were going to be good or not, because sometimes I'd put in a game and I hate the controls so much that I don't even want to play it. And then, but there was plenty of like just games that played like normal on the console, and those were fun. And my favorite is probably the one I just played recently, Kirby's Epic Yarn, because it's fucking so, it's just so fucking pleasant and beautiful. And it's multiplayer, and it's kind of, I want to say it's the only Kirby game that's like really multiplayer centric. Like it's definitely a co-op game. Like they really push the co-op. They push the fact that there's, you know, there's Kirby and Prince Fluff, and they're both kind of given nearly equal billing within the game. So yeah, it's one of my favorite co-op games, and it's fucking just it's a shitload of fun, beautifully polished. You know, it could have been, that's one of the few Kirby games that could have been not a Kirby game and been just as good, and it was originally planned to just be a Prince Fluff game, but then they threw Kirby in just for, you know, brand recognition. But it's fucking really solid, and it uses just hold the controller sideways, but it does find a use for the motion controls that works really well, which is that, well, first of all, when you transform into different modes, a lot of them have some kind of controller gimmick, which are fine. They're nothing too advanced, which is how it should be. Like, it should just be a little way to mix things up. It shouldn't be like a whole fucking mechanical function, because it doesn't work well enough for that. But then there's also, when you customize your house, you use the Wii Emote, and you can like move stuff around and stick it on your house, and that was a really good way to do that. So yeah, it makes good use of the motion controls without being centered on them, and that's where I feel like the Wii shines. It shines when you use it sometimes, but not for everything.
All right. I've looked through my games, and I found some truly hidden gems. Here we go. We got Rayman Raving Rabbids 1 and 2. Still not open. I played
both of those when they came out.
I never played them. I hate the idea of them. Also, fucking Sonic and the Secret Rings, amazing game.
Oh, that one's, yeah, dude. Why does no one ever talk about that game?
I think people think it's stupid, but I got my mum to play it when we got it, and it was hilarious watching her fumble around. Dude, that's why I like it.
That's like my favorite Sonic game.
Is it really?
Because it's the only one I've ever like beaten, and it's because you can beat it in like 4 hours, and I just kind of put it in, and it's just a nonstop speed. You just run, like you just run straight for 4 hours, and it's like I've seen so many retrospectives on Sonic, and that game never gets brought up. Like go watch Errant Signal's Sonic and Speed video, or like anyone else's thing, like. Somehow it just gets skipped over. I don't even think Bunny Hop brought it up in his first levels of Sonic games video.
Yeah, what the fuck?
For some reason, I don't know if it's made by a different studio and like just not considered a canonical part of the franchise, but yeah, it never gets brought up, and you could literally beat it in one sitting with no problem, and it's fairly fun. It's just a flashy, run straight, go fast. Like it's what I think everyone imagines Sonic is. It's just you run straight forward and fun stuff happens. Like, to me, it's like the ultimate Sonic game. Never brought up. Don't know why.
Yeah,
it was one of the first
I should play that. I sort of brushed it aside when I realized that it wasn't like the normal sort of you push the button to move. You instead have to hold the controller and you're always moving and you push it forward to go faster or something.
Oh, that's how it worked, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's you tilt the controller left and right, and so it's like an auto-run game. That's probably right. I don't even remember. I just remember liking it. Maybe that's why it doesn't get brought up in those conversations, because it controls completely differently, and I totally forgot that.
Then we got Mario Party 8, the worst Mario Party of all. Well, actually, not the worst one, because you're not in a car with everyone at the same time. But it was a huge letdown, because for me, the Wii was like the GameCube, because I played a GameCube at like a place, and I wanted one. But the Wii was coming out, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll get a Wii instead, because that can play the GameCube games. And for me, the Wii was a GameCube as well. I have a bunch of GameCube games that I have memories playing on the Wii, so I associate that with that. But Mario Party 8 was like one of the games I asked for when I got the Wii, and it is so much worse than like the one on the GameCube or whatever it was, Mario Party 6, 5, 4, I don't know. Like whatever one I played on the GameCube, it was great. Mario Party 8 is awful. I hate it. It's terrible.
I hate Mario Party in general, but
that's also true. I've never really enjoyed playing with other people.
But everybody who seems to like, because I mean, I grew up playing Mario Party 1 and 2 when they were new, and I remember having a good time with them as a kid. And it's possible that they just got so much worse, but I, like, mentally associate them all as being the exact same thing. Because, like, I remember playing 5 and hating it, and I remember playing 7 and hating it. And then I've heard people who love Mario Party, like, insist that the first two were great. And so maybe the first two actually are good, and the others are just worse versions, but I can't say for sure.
I have a sneaking suspicion that everybody who likes any Mario Party game only likes it because when they played it as a kid, as they always have nostalgic feelings for it, they remember just randomly beating their older sibling or something and making them mad and feeling like the true winner in the house.
I'm sure that's why me and Victor liked it as kids, because we could beat each other, and, you know, it's almost not skill-based, but...
Yeah.
A lot of people insist. I remember telling somebody that, like, what pisses me off about Mario Party is that you can play really well and still lose because the game is so much random chance. And they were like, if you're good at the mini games, it's not true. And I'm like, oh, fuck off. It is true. There's lots of random elements in the game that are put there deliberately.
There's a fair few mini games I can remember from Mario Party 8 which are just completely chance based. Like you just have to pick a thing. And if you fuck up, if it's the wrong thing, you lose. There's no strategy to it. You can't win that game with skill. There's quite a few like that. That's why I hate that one so much more than like any others that I've played. Yeah. Just felt so bad.
So one of the most critically acclaimed Wii games from later in its life cycle, Xenoblade Chronicles, I wasn't that into.
I've been meaning to play that.
It's for like GRPG.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it and if you end up liking it. Because the thing is that the combat system is like an MMORPG. Like, it kind of resembles like a World of Warcraft combat system, which is really odd for a single player, action RPG game. So I really didn't like the battle system, and the game is really complicated. Like, there's just shitloads of systems to interact with, and that's the main appeal of it, because the story is not that interesting, and, like, just in general, one of the big things it was known for is how gorgeous the visuals are. Like, it takes place in this really beautiful world, but it's on the Wii, and it's like the textures are all kind of jagged and like aliased and stuff. So like I thought it looked like shit. Just like the art design is fantastic, but the actual graphics look really bad. So I don't know.
I might like that because I do like a bit of old school.
Well, it's a bit extreme because there's like
stuff.
grass everywhere and it's all like aliased and stuff.
Oh,
I don't know.
Where it looks like just masses of weird great green pixels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might like it. I have no idea. It's an interesting game for sure. Very critically acclaimed by RPG people, but like, I guess I'm not enough of an RPG person. I couldn't get into it, but it deserves mention. I'm sure some people want to kill me now for having said that.
Another one, a Kirby game, the other Kirby game, the fucking... my version says Kirby's Adventure, but I think it's called Kirby's Return to Dreamland or something.
Return to Dreamland, yeah.
Yeah. That's a fun great game. Shit. I love landing on my friend's head and riding them as they go.
That's also a good co-op Kirby, but like... That one, I never played a super large amount of it. I mostly played some of it for my Kirby video, but I remember that I beat like 1.5 levels, and then I did the first like challenge level, and like trying to get a gold medal even on the first challenge level was like pretty difficult, and I probably did it for like 20 minutes trying to get it, and I was like, oh man, this is a game I'm gonna spend a lot of time with if I ever play it, like just trying to get 100% would be like quite an experience, which is also true of Epic Yarn, but I don't really like the challenge levels in that game. The ones in Return to Dreamland are much better.
It feels
Plus,
more.
It's like a
it feels
return
more
to
like
form of Kirby.
Just a Kirby game than what I've seen of Epic Yarn.
I think that's why that game got a lot of excitement around it, because of the fact that like recent Kirby games, well, this is not true anymore. The last few have been like just straight up Kirby games for the 3DS, but like there was a while where Kirby was mostly being used for experimental stuff, like Epic Yarn, which is totally different, Rainbow Curse, and the other Rainbow Curse one. There's one on the Wii U and one on the DS. Mass Attack, Squeak Squad, like all these games kind of played with the Kirby formula. Return to Dreamland, as the title implies, was a return to form. And it's also like the longest and hardest Kirby game. So I think it was really made to be like for the hardcore fans who'd been playing for a long time,
Yeah. It's a good fun.
It's real good.
There's a few others. Metroid Prime 3. I never played the first Metroid Prime, although I think I have it now. But Metroid Prime 3, Corruption, with the Wii controller as like the shooty, blasty power, actually really engrossing, but I think I got stuck on a boss and gave up. I think that's a really good game, but I can't remember. What people think of it.
It's generally liked, though it's not considered as good as the first two games, more because of the story, I think, because it has like lots of dialogue and the first two didn't have any.
I remember some weird cutscenes about I don't give a shit.
But I've only played the first Metroid Prime, and I like it a lot, but it was funny, me and my cousin, he had the Metroid Prime trilogy for Wii, and we went to record a Let's Play of playing that game, and he could not figure out the controls, and I tried and I couldn't figure it out, and we were both, because we'd both heard that it was better on Wii. Like, people kept saying, oh, the controls work really well on the Wii, it makes more sense. I didn't understand it at all. Like, I just got lost and gave up, and we went back to the GameCube version.
Wait, so, like you mean like Metroid Prime 1 on Wii? Like a special...
all three are on the Wii now.
I assume like it would have been the same. Like, the way it works for Metroid 3, Prime 3, is the nunchuck is your movement, and then the Wiimote is your aiming, and you move around like that. It does. Yeah. I mean, I don't remember it being too difficult to
what was
figure
weird
out.
about it is that you have to push the screen with the reticle, like to turn.
Oh yeah, that. I do remember that.
Because the thing about Metroid Prime is that the original didn't have 2-stick controls. It was just like a first-person platformer game, and you had to hold a button to go into to free aiming mode, like a normal FPS. And the game's built around that, but like it gets really weird when you're, having to fucking push the screen around.
Metroid Prime is like one of the only games I can see being like a good VR blockbuster game.
That would be interesting. For sure.
Put your head on, you look around, you have your two different whatever you call it things. They usually have 2 controllers, right?
The 2 like handheld things.
Yeah.
Did you ever play the Mario Kart game or the Donkey Kong Country Return games?
Oh my god, Mario Kart Wii. The fucking I love that. I love it specifically because we got the version with the plastic wheels, which I think I still have. And I gave my brothers the ones with the plastic wheels, so you put it in the wheel and then you hold it like a wheel. And it's incredibly difficult to control while I was sitting there with the nunchuck, beating them completely every time. They didn't understand what was going on.
And they want the wheel because it seems like the more fun way to play.
Yeah.
So like they're totally into this. That's hilarious. That's fucking hilarious. Well, here's a game that that I have a peripheral for that actually worked pretty well, aside from the fact the peripheral I bought was cheap as fuck. But one of my favorite games on the Wii and favorite games of all time, House of the Dead Overkill. I don't know if you've ever played House of the Dead before.
Oh, I think I've played it somewhere. I played it somewhere at some point. It was pretty fun.
This is one of the most genius uses of the Wii Mote to me, because like it's basically a light gun, so use it as a light gun, and that's what this game did. Although it's a little weird because of the fact that at first you're bound to think of it as a light gun, and you're gonna shoot at if you try to shoot at the enemies, that won't work because you're really using the sensor bar to aim. So it's more like you're just making sure you understand where the reticle is, but it's not effective to try to point it at the enemies, which is kind of lame. But
did you ever have are you talking about the peripheral you have with it? Is the gun thing?
Yeah, well, I'm just talking about using the Wii and using it in general. But I never bought the Sylph Scope peripheral, the one that's like a machine gun.
Yeah.
Because I thought that one was stupid. Like I think
that's not
what I want my gun to look like.
I don't know why I had that. Maybe I didn't actually. Maybe I had that for the PlayStation Move or something.
I think we might have it in my house, but I never used it. But in more recent years, I actually purchased 2 off-brand Wii guns, which are they're shaped like fucking Glocks, like regular handguns, and me and my brother painted them and we're using them. I bought them specifically for House of the Dead so that I could point a cool looking gun at the screen. They weren't super effective because the B button was a little fucky, but nonetheless, House of the Dead's really fucking cool. It's really cleverly written. It's a fun grindhouse parody game, but with really great dialogue. And am
I right in thinking it's the one where you just shoot a bunch and then it walks automatically? And
yeah, it's a real shooter.
It's like the sort of thing you would find in every arcade ever.
Right. I mean, that literally House of the Dead is the game that's in every arcade ever.
Cool.
But this one, Overkill specifically, I assume there might have been an arcade release. I've never seen an arcade of Overkill, but it was on the Wii and later came out on the PlayStation Move, which I've never bothered with. But and there's also a Steam version that's Typing of the Dead Overkill, which I think I own and haven't played yet. I should.
Game Grumps played that very briefly, I think.
They were playing the one on the Dreamcast, which I think they had to have a specific Dreamcast keyboard peripheral for that, which is fucking only Aaron would have that.
Other game, fucking Wii Play, which is the 1-2 switch of the Wii, whatever that game was on the Switch. It's just a bunch of shitty mini games, 6. One of them being ping pong, table tennis. It's terrible. It's an entire game. This is the first time I realized that an entire game can be nothing. It's not even really anything. It's 6 really small, very they don't look very nice. I don't know whether you've ever heard of Wii Play. I think it was a thing that was packaged. It looks just like Wii Fit. with the packaging and the logo and stuff. Like, it's like the default what you get if you don't know what a game console is.
Yeah.
So that sucks. I have 90% of these fucking games that I have are bad.
Yeah.
It was all down to
the Wii had a lot of games, but not all of them were all that great. Like compared to the library of like the PS2, like I would say there's probably like as many Wii games as PS2 games. I'm basing that on nothing, by the way. But like
I think there's a lot less, but maybe
there were a lot of Wii games, but just not a lot of good ones. Not a lot that anybody wanted, you know.
Like Party Babies is my favorite Wii game.
Mostly because of that, because I feel like the Wii had the most of the fucking licensed games. Because again, developers saw it as a normie console, a kid's console. It's a toy. You know, none of the serious developers wanted to put their games on there because they had to gimp the graphics and try to somehow work with that controller, and it just wasn't worth it. So, you know, most of what got made for it were shitty tie-in games. So there's an overabundance of shit games on the Wii. I think the problem is Nintendo was just too far ahead of the curve, and they didn't make it worth it for developers to work with that. You know, like, why would a developer go out of their way to, like, make a game that's specific for this console with these incredibly distinctive controls and then have to go, like, to the other consoles and be like, oh, well, now we gotta make a whole different fucking game. Like, it's way easier to tap a huge market by doing the two other consoles and having the exact same game, and PC. But, another big franchise that started on the Wii is, No More Heroes. You ever play any of those?
Is that the, like, black and white thing with the
No,
guy?
that's Mad World. Same.
Oh,
I think that's also
know.
Platinum Games.
I don't know what that thing is.
Oh wait, No More Heroes isn't Platinum. It's fucking Grasshopper Manufacturer. Whatever. No More Heroes was the one with Travis Touchdown. Surely you know him, the guy who jacks off his lightsaber.
Well,
No More Heroes is a game by Suda51.
Oh, is that the guy Jesse likes? The fucking
Travis Touchdown.
Yeah.
It's a game by Suda51, who's a psychopath game developer who made Killer 7, Lollipop Chainsaw, Shadows of the Damned. All of his games are fucking weird. And this one, it's really neat. It uses the Wiimote controls in somewhat interesting ways. The way it's like a beat 'em up game, like a 3D beat 'em up, but the controls are similar to Twilight Princess, where it's just kind of like you just swing your Wiimote to attack. Like, and there's only a few different types of attacks, but when you're using like a lightsaber, and if you run out of energy, you have to literally jack off the Wiimote to charge up, which is fucking hilarious. And I'm glad somebody did that. And the game's mostly known for the fact that the story is really fun. It has lots of weird, colorful characters that are that die in horribly violent ways. So, yeah, it also had a bunch of mini games that were tedious, and that's that you have to play in between missions, and that was the main thing that people had against the game. No More Heroes 2 streamlined that and made it a lot more doable, though the games are also very hard, so they can be frustrating to actually complete. But definitely a cool franchise with lots of personality that is coming back. They're making a third one for the Switch, so that's cool.
That's cool. Castlevania Judgment I've got here. The first game. It was like my brother liked the idea of Castlevania. He'd seen the Angry Video Game Nerd talk about it, and he said, "I want a Castlevania game," and that was the only one we could get.
The
and
fighting
it was
game.
The
that
fighting
no
game
one talks about.
That no one likes, no one talks about, and it has Light Yagami on the cover.
Yeah. That's the only reason I think anyone's ever bought that game, other than your brother, is usually because they think it's some kind of Death Note game. Just because it happens to have Takashi Obata character designs, which is fucking hilarious. Is it any good? Have you played it?
I mean, as soon as we turned it on, we realized it's not actually what we thought, and we never played it. I think maybe one of us has tried to give it a chance, but obviously it's not fondly remembered.
Yeah. Well, my favorite action RPG that I've actually played on the Wii, Muramasa the Demon Blade, which is known for its exquisitely gorgeous visuals. It's a pretty simplistic action side-scrolling RPG game, but it's a lot of fun. And it has one big issue though, which is that it's on the Wii. And I think it's kind of weird that they put it on the Wii, because it's known for its insanely gorgeous visuals, but it's all, sprite artwork and like and painted backgrounds and stuff. So like maybe they thought, well, this isn't going to be taxing on hardware, so it'll be a Wii game or something. I don't know. But it suffers because of the fact that the Wii was foolishly not made with an HDMI port. Even though we were on the cusp of HD TVs being everywhere. So, like, 2006, HD TVs, by, like, 1 year later, were literally everywhere. Like, no one had a CRT anymore by, like, '08 or '09. They were completely gone. So, you've got the Wii, which has no HD support, and a lot of the games only really look good on a CRT, because the CRT, like, the big difference between CRTs and monitors, which anyone who's like a big game snob will go on about this, about how you have to play older games on CRTs, because A, they have a higher refresh rate than HD monitors, and B, they're really bright. They blast cathode rays through the front of the screen, and they're extremely bright. So older games are made, like, darker in comparison because they're going to have all this light blasting through them. So, like, for instance, the Super Nintendo, whenever I play Super Nintendo games on my computer, I always feel like they're weirdly dark because, again, I'm playing them on a monitor. They're meant to be on a fucking CRT. So, Muramasa is a perfect example of this. The game looks muddy as shit on an HD TV. It looks really bad because it's being stretched and just, like, it's muddy and gross, and it's very, like, dark. And so if you play it on a HD TV, you're really missing out. But they've remade the game in HD. I know it's on the Vita in HD, which I don't want to play a fucking Vita, so I've never bought that. I don't remember if there's an HD version on a console. If there is, I should look into it. But it's a pretty good game, and if you play it on a CRT, beautiful visuals.
All right. The only one, I've got, like, Tomb Raider Anniversary, but there's not really much to say. I think that was on multiple consoles, wasn't it?
Probably.
It was funny because, like, I had heard that there were Tomb Raider games. I only ever played the first one, and I was like, eventually I want to play some other ones. And then a new one comes out for the Wii, and I'm like, yeah, let's get a brand new Tomb Raider game and see what it is. And it just so happens, obviously I didn't understand Anniversary, what that would mean, but it's literally just the first game again, but in nicer textures and shit, and redesigned levels, and I'm like, oh. So I still only have played Tomb Raider 1.
Is it as good as the original? Like, is it?
It's different because it uses the Wii is used for some of the platforming things. You got a grappling hook, and it's good. I enjoyed it. I don't think I played too much of it because Tomb Raider 1 is like it's grid based. So like, if you are on the right square, like, you can make sure you know exactly how far you can jump. With the Wii, it's like everything's not grid-based, but it's still kind of designed like that, so it's hard to tell where the correct edge is to jump from. But it's, I don't know, it was good. But I don't have much to say about that. The only other game I have here is Mario Galaxy, which, yeah, that's good. That's worth getting a Wii for, I think.
Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 are pretty much at the top of all the, like, best Wii games lists that I've been scrolling through while we've been talking to remind myself of all the Wii games. I never played them personally. I've never been a huge Mario guy. And I felt the look and feel of the Mario Galaxy games is weird to me. Like, the way it's all on these, like, random islands in space. I don't know.
It does look weird. I mean, I'm trying to think whether I took a long time to get used to it, but once I was used to it, it was like, yeah, I get it. You know, you can press a button to reorient the camera so Mario's not upside down. But, like, it feels a lot better to play than it looks like it would.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fun. I like it.
I'd probably know
stuff.
if I ever played it.
I mean, talking about like Mario, I'm not a big Mario guy either. I never played Mario 64 until like a few years ago, or like last year when I had it on the Wii U, and I played in bed, and that was fun. But I had Mario Sunshine, which I hated because of how fucking difficult that was. Just for like a few of the small like mini games, like the flying on the sand bird or something. And the pachinko machine, like I could never do any of those things. And then Mario Galaxy comes out, and it's not as difficult. It looks really difficult, but the things in it, it's like it's starting to become easy Mario stuff, even though it's like still a really long game, and it does have hard moments. But I feel like that is very much if you want an easy-ish, like one of the easier 3D Marios that's like interesting. Mario Galaxy is like one of the best ones.
Here's two games I've never played, but I want to ask you if you have. One is Donkey Kong Country Returns, because I know that was very celebrated as like.
I got Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze on the Wii U. I don't know whether Returns is the same, but if it's the same thing, it's brilliant. Because Donkey Kong Country, I like those games. I played them on the GBA. But it's basically everything good about those games, but like expanded upon. Like there's nothing bad about them. You can't say a bad word about a Donkey Kong thing.
I've never liked the Donkey Kong Country games, but I am interested in the newer ones. They look more up my alley.
They probably are. Like Donkey Kong Country is notoriously very difficult. All three of them.
The only
Returns is also difficult, but like it's not. Like, I can see more people getting into it.
The only Donkey Kong game I played a significant amount of was Donkey Konga. The one with the conga drums on the GameCube.
Oh,
but we'll have to get to that when we get to the GameCube in this show. All right, the other game I had to ask you about, Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn.
Oh. Actually, no. I got Fire Emblem, the one before that on GameCube. Radiant Dawn, I don't think I ever bought because... The GameCube Fire Emblem, it was a big letdown because of the fact that going from 2D to 3D was cool, and I liked the idea.
I don't think it worked well for Fire Emblem.
Yeah, it did not work well because all the animations were as bland as fuck.
Ever.
They just walked up and then swung the sword like you would as a normal human, and then they walked back. And I'm like, that's not what Fire Emblem is. Fire Emblem is anime. It should be completely ridiculous.
I believe that Radiant Dawn, like, fixed a lot of the problems. I haven't played it myself. I had the same... I was way into the first two GBA games that came out here. And then I had bought the GameCube one. I was also disappointed for the same reason. I just thought it felt really slow and boring. And then, but my brother, who's a bigger Fire Emblem guy, beat that. And then he played Radiant Dawn. And what's great about Radiant Dawn is, like... Ike, the main character from the previous game, grows up and, like, becomes Guts from Berserk, basically. Like, he becomes, like, a gigantic badass with a huge sword, and it's, like, an epic war game with, like, all these big moments and stuff, and I remember Victor just saying the story was, like, really hype in that game.
I've heard, I think what it was I think I beat the GameCube one. I keep forgetting what it's named, like Radiant Dawn?
No, we're talking about Radiant Dawn. The one before that was... it definitely had Dawn in the title, I think.
Something.
No, Path of Radiance.
Path of Radiance, yeah.
Path of Radiance, then Radiant Dawn.
Yeah, I beat Path of Radiance, and I was like, is that it? Is that... Okay, I guess I did it. But I looked at reviews of the Wii one, and all I could see were people saying it's really far too hard, I hate it, it's too hard, I can't do it. And I'm like, well, I'm already not sold on the idea of Fire Emblem in 3D. And if it's going to be also really hard, I'm probably I don't care. So
Aren't you really good at Fire Emblem though?
I am good, but I
think they made it hard
at the
because
time.
It was a sequel. You know, like it's supposed to be you've already beaten the other one kind of thing.
Well, really, I didn't at the time. I guess I wasn't thinking of how good those people writing the reviews would be. Like I just assumed, oh, they must be as good as me, and if they find it hard, then I'm gonna be frustrated, and I don't want that.
Yeah. There's some interesting Wii games that I want to play that I never got to at the time. I think with the Wii again, the catalog was so confused that some games went like under the radar and just like the few people who've played them think they're amazing, but nobody else has heard of them. I guess every console has some games like that. But everything past Wii, there's been so few fucking games that it's harder for something to fly under the radar. Like, can you imagine Bloodborne having been anywhere near a big a deal as it was had it not been the only PS4 game?
Yeah.
Like, a game like that, like the other Souls games had all been under the radar hits. Like, Demon Souls was like a little baby love child that like 10 people knew about. And Dark Souls blew up a lot bigger, but like Bloodborne had such a thrust behind it because it was the only PS4 game.
It's the reason I bought my PS4.
Same. So, but yeah, there's a few Wii games I'm curious about. I wish I had already played them to talk about here, but one is Opuna. You ever heard of Opuna?
No.
It's like a really weird turn-based RPG with characters who look like Captain Olimar. Like it's like a cartoony, like kitty looking but like full blown turn-based RPG that I've heard is really good. And a game that I haven't really heard is good, but I really want to play, and I actually bought it and I still haven't played it yet. I'm waiting for Victor to ship it to me because I left it with him. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles: The Crystal Bearers, which is a part of the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles universe, but it plays nothing like the other games, and it's just like an open world adventure game, I guess. No one talks about it ever. The only person who's ever talked about it was Happy Video Game Nerd, who mostly talks about like obscure shit or whatever he's called now. Skeletons something. I don't fucking
It's a
remember.
Strange name change.
He has a stupid name now. But in any case, he did a review of it and it made me really curious and I want to play it. Like, he didn't even make it sound particularly good, but there's definitely some hidden Wii games. Baroque is a really weird one. That one's a port of a Dreamcast game, I think, but Baroque is this roguelike RPG that is... I literally cannot get past the first 45 minutes of it because I don't understand how it works. Like, it's
Was
a game...
the game you played like way ages ago?
I did a Drowning in Games cast with Endless Chess, where I had played through the game. But, because you played through this dungeon, it's like a single life death game. Like, if you die once, you have to restart kind of thing. But, you get down like 5 floors of this dungeon, and then you meet this like weird creature, and it's like, oh, I have to send you back to the beginning. And then it just restarts the game. And there's supposed to be a way to get through that, but I have no idea what it is. And, like, reading guides didn't help. Like, I just don't know how to fucking play the game. But it's the most, like, outlandishly fucked, like, weird game that I own. And that's why I hold on to it just for that reason.
Dude, could you even... imagine being like a Nintendo collector type person and seeing the Wii come out with hundreds of games, so many terrible ones. Like you would have your work cut out to have a full Wii collection.
We need a not even millennial. What's the generation after that? An iGen or whatever. We need an iGen kid to be the next AVGN and just review shitty Wii games that they played when they were like 6. Because we're a little too old for it. We were old enough to usually recognize what games were going to be shitty by the time the Wii came out. But I'm sure there's a kid who's like 18 or 19 right now who has played a fuckload of garbage Wii games that they can review.
I hope they look exactly like James did when he did that Christmas video, being the an old man playing Wii games.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. He's gonna take you back to 2006 to play the games that suck a whole lot of dicks.
You did it.
Oh, all right. Well, that's all the Wii games I could think of.
That's basically all I've got as well.
I feel like we simultaneously we're not the people who could talk about the Wii in the most depth. There's definitely people who probably bought into the motion controls a lot more, who played some of the early games like Red Steel that was like really based around the motion controls, or even just fucking Skyward Sword, which neither one of us played. It's like the most famous game on the console. But like, I feel like our experience with the Wii is probably closer to what it was for most gamers. Like, this thing that you kind of begrudgingly bought because you like Nintendo or have liked them in the past, but then you were just kind of confused about it and used it more to play GameCube games than Wii games.
Yeah, it really was for me the Pikmin machine. Like, I loved Pikmin. Yeah. God, now that I'm thinking about it, the Wii was my first Nintendo console. I don't think I had any actual like home console from Nintendo before this.
I was a big Nintendo boy up to that point, but like when it came out, I was big into like big RPG games, and just like I was really into like PS2 games at the time, and the Wii just seemed like nothing of my interest in video games at the time. I mean, we had one because it's a Nintendo console, so of course like my brothers were hyped about it and shit, and like we had to own it, but it was a long while before, I want to say Brawl was like the first Wii game I really played. Like, I was completely resistant to the console for a long time. And it's kind of been a weird experience of going back to it every time I like find out about a game for the Wii. Like, I found out about Muramasa years later, like 2014, and went back and played it. And then like I found out about Kirby's Epic Yarn around that time and finally went back and played it. So like, I don't think I played many of the Wii games that were actually out when the Wii was out. I play them now.
Yeah. It's got a certain charm to it that's sort of like, it does feel like a toy. It's like I don't know. It's something I'd never really think about, but I would never want to part with mine.
Yeah.
I want to still have my Wii.
The fact that it's backwards compatible is also a really solid thing. You know, the fact that it can play GameCube games is really cool, because yeah, I mean, I've got one hooked up right next to me, and I played through Kirby's Epic Yarn and Wario World in recent months, which is a GameCube game, and yeah, it's been a hell of a time. I'm glad to have it in my arsenal, you know, and I don't need to have a GameCube.
I love the Wii. Yeah. We would like to... I should have said that at the beginning. We would like to make a podcast about the Wii. Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't say that, because I say that in my everyday life all the time. I just walk up to people and go, "Wii U right to pray. Wii U right to pray," which is the Wii U commercial. I don't know if you saw that.
What?
They literally did the same thing, except instead of saying "Wii U right to pray," they said "Wii U right to pray." This is why nobody understood that it was a new console, because
what the fuck?
Marketing was fucking retarded. Well, God, I think we've said enough about the Wii, probably. Well, you have any follow-up?
No, I was just gonna say the whole, like, the fact that it was called the Wii was hilarious to me as a child. As a young man, dude, I thought, it's like urine, dude. It's Wii.
The weirdest part about that is that I was following the hype cycle for the Wii from way before it came out, because this is when I was big into gaming news, was like 2005 and 6, and the project name for it was The Revolution. It was called the Nintendo Revolution for like a whole year, and then when they launched it, it was the Wii. Like the exact opposite title. That was pretty funny.
It was revolutionary in a way, but
we were so hyped for like Nintendo's revolution to come, like, oh, the revolution, you know. Oh no, it's the Wii. And it looks like a vibrator.
Yes. All right. Well, I think we're done.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good.
Catch you all on the next episode of Game Boys. What console should we do next?
Say in the comments if it's a console we hate.
No. We're probably going to record the next one before this one even comes out.
Oh, so yeah, that's right.
What should we do next?
What should we do next? Shall we like flip back and forth between like companies?
Yeah, I was thinking we shouldn't do another Nintendo right in a row.
Let's do a PlayStation. Which PlayStation?
Either 1 or 3. Which one?
Let's do 3. That's the same sort of time period.
Next episode, we'll do the PS3 and continue on our Gen 7 yucks. See you then. Right.
Goodbye.